one of, if not the greatest benefit of semen retention is you start to know yourself as consciousness itself more fully. It really starts to feel like your higher self is more in control. And this sounds really nice, and in some ways it is, but it also can create a lot of intense pain too, because the parts of you that used to be in control, we'll say maybe your inner addict, those parts can't like get what they want anymore. They don't have power over your actions as much. So there could be a lot of fire there, a lot of burning away of the old. And so it's a beautiful thing when consciousness itself is at the wheel. But it can create a lot of pain as the old kind of pathways, the old habits and patterns fall away. So that's kind of where some of the suffering can come from as we partake in a practice like semen retention. And this just goes for awakening in general. But there is this sense as you cultivate and allow your sexual energy to build more fully, that consciousness itself is there acting through you now. And the old patterns, I just like to call it like that inner addict, that place in you that's coming from lack and maybe is wanting to chase love and to chase validation, etc. It's like that part of you is more easily seen through. You notice, like maybe when you're not doing semen retention, you can almost justify going with that part easier. Semen retention makes it really hard to lie to yourself about where your action and motivations are coming from. So that can be one of the ways that semen retention can create pain within you, is you can't really lie to yourself anymore. That behavior or that pattern that was coming from lack and scarcity, it can't really be acted out on because that energy doesn't have power over your life now, because there's so much more of your consciousness that's alive within you. And so that's what it can feel like, at least in my experience. Now, we have to go through a lot of work to be able to hold this energy in a really, we'll just say a productive way. For a long time on my journey, doing semen retention and while Kundalini awakening was happening, was just a lot of energy, and I would just feel completely overwhelmed by it. But as we do the inner work and we clear the patterns and we dissolve shadow, we create this spaciousness in our being, in our body, and our energy field to be able to hold this extra light, you could say. And then it can get easier, but it's still quite a lot to be with. And it's still uprooting and showing you more places where you're acting from shadow, more places where you're trying, where that clever ego that's coming from scarcity is coming in and kind of taking over the show, and where we're letting that happen. And so it's just more light is what it is. It's more of your essential self that is, activating within you. And so, like I said, that's a beautiful thing, but it can create a lot of pain, because as that happens, it's like we can't go the old ways anymore. And those were the familiar ways. Maybe that old way coming from that was really motivated from the inner addict. Maybe that was like how we felt like we could get our needs met, even though we weren't doing it in a healthy way. And so as that sort of burns away and falls away, there can be a pain there, like a mourning of the old way really dying. And so, but this is a good thing. This is a really beautiful pain to go through, because as you let that pain be there, as you let that old way that was really coming from lack and scarcity, as you let it fall away, you come more into alignment with your higher self, and your higher self actually starts guiding your actions. And that's what you really want. You actually don't want to go the old way that the inner addict's pulling you towards. You don't want to give your power away to lack and scarcity programs. because you never actually get what you want anyways. Deep down, you don't get what you want. And it's just a circular pattern that brings more and more suffering. It's like a spiral. But as you do semen retention and as your higher self comes more online, you can start spiraling the other way. And following consciousness itself, following its guidance and acting from your higher self, you start actually feeling truly fulfilled. And it doesn't have anything to do with the external. It's just an inner integrity that you start feeling within yourself, an inner alignment. You start feeling connected to your power. And that's truly what we want more than anything else. That's what we want underneath. That's what the inner addict actually wants too, deep down. And so you start filling all these places in you that are rooted in scarcity and lack. You start filling them with light. And so these places, like I said, they don't have power anymore over your actions and your words, your deeds, etc. So that's kind of the path of semen retention. But be easy with yourself, especially if you're going through Kundalini awakening. And I'm in just a man's body, so I just am speaking from my experience. It can be a lot of energy. The sexual energy is rocket fuel for the Kundalini process. So just kind of know where you're at. Don't use force, don't push. Let this stuff happen naturally. Even if you're not doing semen retention or it gets to be a lot for you, just keep doing shadow work. Keep emptying out. Keep bringing light to patterns and these old patterns rooted in scarcity and lack and fear. Keep clearing them out the best you can. And you'll notice more and more spaciousness will start happening so that you can hold more of yourself, because that's all the semen retention really is. It's just more of yourself coming online, your true self. And this is how my path has worked. It's just over time I've been able to hold more and more of me because I've been clearing out more and more of the wounds, the shadows, the trauma, etc. You know, that energy can activate and it can start really running into blockages, and that's when we could feel like, oh, we're gonna explode. And so be tender with yourself. Go at your own pace with this. When I first woke up, I was just like so gung-ho. Semen retention is the way, but it was a lot. And I had to really learn patience with this process and compassion and to work with my body and where it was. Because if you're going through Kundalini as well, it's a lot for the nervous system. It's a lot for the animal body. And so it takes time for the animal body and the nervous system to really be able to kind of hold this kind of charge, to hold this much light. So just know anytime you're doing shadow work, you're working towards being able to hold more and more light, and you're going to organically start moving from a truer and truer place within you. It's like you're going to start being led by more of your higher self's guidance than the old ways that are just rooted in wounding and trauma patterning, basically. So that's the video. Sending you all so much love. So great to be with you. Namaste.